Thanks to the superhuman efforts of our NHS teams and to the forward thinking of the Prime Minister back in March 2020 to throw all our UK resources to supporting industry and the global virology scientific networks in search of vaccines to becalm the threat of COVID-19, there is light at the end of this lockdown tunnel. I think that total commitment across government has proven worthwhile, and I'd like to pass on my thanks from all those across North Northumberland, an enormous thanks to the 24/7 dedication both to finding a vaccine alongside delivering that vaccine, rolling off those production lines now into glass vials in their millions, into trucks and to our hospitals and GP surgeries, and in the weeks ahead, I hope, to sports centres and pharmacies too. My constituents, whilst frustrated at having to remain isolated from family and friends once again, are in a better place about supporting the PM's difficult decision this week because their vulnerable family members are indeed being vaccinated. But we are very anxious about the challenges of homeschooling once again for all but those SEND and key workers' children. There will be many a difficult moment in all those households as students struggle to make the progress they would be able to do in the classroom. So we must ensure, please, that the restricted schooling part of the lockdown is as short as possible and that all pupils from primary to tertiary are back in their classrooms as soon as the R8 decline becomes clear. Because we know that schools are safe places thanks to the efforts of all our head teachers and their teams over many, many months. So that damage to our next generation must be as limited as possible. I am particularly concerned that the cancellation of GCSE and A-levels in their usual form will leave many long-term gaps in that learning created by the loss of a definite deadline to work to. As a mother of two whose both children worked only to an immovable deadline, this would have been a disaster in my own household. I can only be grateful they are now both grown up. But I do know that compliance to these regulations in Northumberland will be high because we appreciate the risks of our NHS being unable to deliver on the needs of all our patients if our excellent Northumbria NHS was overwhelmed. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd just like to end on an optimistic note, which is that last week I had the privilege of dropping into the Well Close surgery in Berwick to see for myself our primary care network roll out of those first doses of Pfizer vaccine. I can only say it was like going into a Christmas party. The sound of bubbling, excitable voices, my wonderful over-80s queuing patiently, being given a timer because they had to sit for 15 minutes to wait to make sure they didn't have a bad reaction, and then the ping as they were allowed to leave and go home again, as if they'd been fully cooked in their baking oven. It was simply the most extraordinary and encouraging afternoon that I've spent in many, many months. So thank you to Hilary Brown, running the service, Dr Ben Burville in Amble, and the whole team in the Alnwick Cricket Club, making sure that so many of my over-80s are now protected.
Yeah.